Yo, what is going on? We are back with another week of the Financial Mirror, and I am so excited to be here. No one can possibly imagine how excited I am to be here, and I'm being dead serious. So this topic today is a huge piece that I've been wanting to talk about for a while, and so hopefully everyone can get something good out of this one today. Because I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. I've done some looking over. I've done some figuring out of how I'm going to approach this, but we're going to hit these two things. So I want to start right here on this screen, right? So I found this comical picture that is very very weird in a way. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm so sorry that you're missing this, but go check out this. But I don't know why this chick right here on the right looks like Khloe Kardashian or something, but and I also don't know why they're so like uh um I don't know, like theatrical, just like I'm telling you, like this is and like coming out of a movie or something, you know. But anyways, um, this is our normal on the left rich couple, right? Like you know, $15 shirt, $20 sunglasses, 45 $25 slippers, $45 shoes, whatever. And over here you've got the $220 glasses, the $150 hat, but this is a mindset, right? So this whole episode is based around this image right here. So if you're looking at this image, so for any of the listeners on the podcast, it's pretty much just an image of this normal everyday family on the left that has, you know, they're missing the $300 tablet or whatever that they're holding, but they just, you know, just normal everyday people, right? And they've got you know this basic shirt, sunglasses, you know, just normal stuff, nothing really name brand or anything. And on the right you have this fancy high dollar Gucci sunglasses or whatever, and these are the poor people, because you know they have all this luxurious stuff, but they're poor, and not only in their mindset, but they probably are actually poor. So about that, this whole episode is just talking about those two mindsets. So we're going to look at this whole mindset, and I can flip off of that. We'll go straight into the podcast format. But here we go. So here's the thing. And this is the biggest part that I really want to drive home on this thing. Okay, is that I use the terms in the title, rich versus poor. And I use the term mindset, and the mindset is the part that we're really going to dig into. Okay, we're going to dig into the mindset behind sort of how rich people think, sort of how poor people think, and I'm gonna absolutely throw a wrench in it and show you some crazy things that about those two things, because you're probably like, I don't even need to listen to this. I'm poor. I'm in debt. I have all these things. I don't have any money. I live paycheck to paycheck. So I'm poor mindset already. Okay. So let's stop just a second. Let's take a pause, take a quick breather, and know that mindset is not your current situation. Mindset is what's actually in your head. So I don't really care what's in your bank account. I really don't care what's going on in your current financial situation. What I can tell you is that your mindset is whatever you determine it to be. Okay, so at the end of this conversation that we're having, at the end of this stream, at the end of this podcast, at the end of this whatever, however you're enjoying this episode of Financial Mirror, please know at the end of this you will have a better understanding of rich and poor mindsets, right? And how what's in your bank account is not a definition of your mindset. Okay, so mindsets matter, and as human beings, our mindset is how we process, you know, the different events in our lives, how we process and go through the different things that we have going on in our lives. But it's very important to understand that your mindset is driven off of not so much your actual past experiences, but more of how you interpreted those events. Okay, so if I had a past experience that is down in the weeds, you know, I grew up in a very poor family or whatever. If I view growing up in a poor family as now I'm going to be poor, well, that was how I reacted. That's how I reacted to being poor, right? Or I could use that same scenario, right, and say, well, if I react to growing up in a poor family to where I say I'm not going to be poor, right? So I've reacted to that in a more positive sense. So what that's the part I want to establish first, right? I want to establish that we're focusing on mindsets, we're focusing on how you can control yours, but how your mindset and why that matters is because it's how you interpret past events. It's not the event itself. Is absolutely 1,000% not the event itself. So I want you to dig in. I want you to focus, and I want you to listen when we go through this. If you have any questions, please pop in the chat. If you're listening to it on a podcast, please email me, info@thefinancialmirror.org. Happy to answer any thoughts, comments, concerns that you have during this whole thing. So here we go. We're going to jump in. So what I want you to know is that when you're thinking about mindset, your limits become your challenges, right? Or you could look at it as challenges become opportunities for growth and enhancement in your own life, right? So if limits are challenges, you're thinking in a more negative context, right? Or if your challenges are becoming areas that you can grow in and areas that afford you an opportunity, and you look at it like that's the difference in the mindset. So the first two words that I'm going to bring up and I'm going to talk about is fixed versus growth mindset. Okay. So when you're thinking about a fixed mindset, this is a simple understood principle that this is a mindset that you inherited, right? Like you were born with it. I was born to be poor and that's just what I'm going to be. Or I was born to be not good with computers and I'm just not good with computers. I was born to do this, and I was born like you just like you have this mindset where this is just who I am, and this is all I can be, right? Versus a growth mindset where you're looking at things as you're more in control of your thoughts, right? So it's like, oh, I absolutely just don't know how to work a computer, so let me figure out how to work a computer. That's a growth mindset. You're willing to fail. You're willing to fail at messing up. You're willing to fail at using a computer, and to use that example, good or bad analogy, I don't really know. I don't really care for this. But what I'm saying is, you have an opportunity. If you fail, using last week's interview with Kyle, if he failed and was like, oh, I'm just not cut out for the stock market, well, he would never be where he's at today. So you can go listen to last week's episode with the interview with Kyle, and you could see that he went at it with a growth mindset. So you take setbacks as learning opportunities. You take setbacks and you're willing to fail, because in the end, you know you're going to create a future potential for yourself. So want to cover that specifically about fixed and growth mindsets. But that's not what this is about. What I'm going to say is, as I break down rich and poor mindsets, I want you to understand that we're going to break them down, but they're mostly going to be more financially driven. This podcast, this stream is more about helping you develop the knowledge, the skills necessary to achieve your financial goals and to live a financially free life. So there's the fixed and growth mindset, and that's a very broad spectrum type of look at it. But I want to focus specifically on how these affect your finances, right? And how poor and rich mindsets are sort of not so much fixed and growth. They have similarities, but they do differ. And so as you listen to this, think about your mindset around finances. And then the same information doesn't have to just be finances. Some same information can apply to your life. It can apply to your job. It can apply to the choices you make in life. Okay. So here we go. Let's jump right in. So poor mindset is where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start with the poor mindset. I'm going to work my way into the rich mindset. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some huge key takeaways that you can start to utilize today to go ahead and start to influence and change your life financially. Okay. So poor mindset. I'm going to start off by saying this. I told you I'm going to throw a wrench at you. I'm going to throw this huge curveball that's absolutely going to just astonish you. But I want to start off by saying this. There are tons, many rich people out there that operate with a poor mindset. So I'm going to say it again. I started this off, and you may or may not have jumped to the conclusion that you have a poor mindset because you don't have money. So what I'm going to reiterate is say that there are tons, and I mean tons, of rich people out and about amongst us that operate in life with a poor mindset. I'm going to give you some examples. The one person, the one group of people, the one I guess job that I see this in, this poor mindset, this rich person with a poor mindset, is professional athletes. And I want you to think about that, right? So you have these huge, and not all, right? Not all. I'm saying there's tons of very, very wealthy, wealth building athletes out there. Shaquille O'Neal's a huge one, right? Tons of spreading his wealth. He's in all kinds of things, trying to increase these different streams of revenue for long building wealth inside of his family. But there's also tons of athletes that have nothing left. They sign millions and millions of dollar contracts and they have nothing left. And the whole reason behind that is because they were rich financially, but they had lived life with a poor mindset. So you see it all the time. And then another one would be like a trust fund baby, right? So you see someone that may have inherited a lot of money or may have been given a silver spoon, but they end up being left with nothing. So they sort of take mom and dad's wealth, and then all of a sudden they just become nothing. And not that they just fall the face of the earth, obviously, but they don't continue to build wealth even after they got such a head start on the race. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. So what are these things, right? So what are these poor mindset characteristics? And I'm going to hit a couple that are very relatable. Hopefully you can pick up on some of these, and if any of these strike a nerve, if any of these things are like, this is an honest stream, right? So this is everything I say is I'm very honest, and I want you to be honest with yourself at the same time. So, characteristics of a poor mindset is the first and foremost thing that you look at when you see someone that's operating with this poor mindset is that when they get a raise or they get more money, any time that there's a surplus, right? I got a great example right about now. We're in tax season. We just people are just getting hit with a third stimulus check, right? So people that are operating in a poor mindset around this time of the year, specifically the tax season, but this one's a little different because they're also getting a $1,400 stimulus check if they meet the criteria. But people that are living a poor mindset, as soon as they see, wow, I have a $1,400 stimulus check, or wow, I have a $1,000 tax refund, or $2,000 tax refund, or $3,000 tax refund, they're like, what can I spend this on? And that's a real thing, right? So you see it all around you. Well, I'm going to get that when my tax money gets here. I'm going to buy that new TV when my tax money gets here. That's a poor mindset because of the simple fact that the second that they got a surplus, right? The second that they weren't living paycheck to paycheck, the second that they had that little bit of extra money, they consume it. They consume it and it's all gone. Like, that's it. And what do they have to show for it? A new TV or whatever it was they were going to buy, a new pair of shoes. I don't really know. But whatever it was they were going to buy, that immediate consumption, when they get that surplus, it's an identification of a poor mindset. All right. We can look at those athletes, those professional athletes. They get this huge millions and millions of dollar contract, and what do? They go and they buy like tons of stuff, right? New cars, new jewelry, new whatever. And that's not really wealth building material. Like you can go try to resell your new Ferrari, and it's not going to hold much value, right? So that's a poor mindset. Okay. What I want to, and now that I'm saying these things, what I really want to drive home is that there's a difference in buying nice things and affording nice things. And I have tons of videos that talk about that. So I do want you to understand that just because you have money, you can buy things, as long as you're planning those out, that where you can afford those things, you can actually afford those things, no loans, no credit cards, no nothing, we can start to look at those, but not to derail this whole entire thing. But so what else? So we've got the poor mindset characteristic that when people get a surplus, they consume it, right? That's the first one. The second one of a poor mindset is that people that operate in a poor mindset, they want a immediate return on anything they do. So if we want to talk financially, they're like, oh well, they want to walk into a bank and say, hey, I want you to put this $1,000 in the bank and I want you to return me a 13% return tomorrow. Well, hold on there, big dog, chill out. So that's a mindset, that immediate return. You'll hear people call it hours for dollars, right? So hours for dollars, where you're putting in the time and you want something in return for it. Everything you do, you want something in return for it, and you want it now. You don't want it next week. You don't want it next month. You want it now. You think of, like, if you don't make anything, like if you do something, right, and you don't make anything for that time, you feel like, well, that was a waste of my time. Like, what did I do that for? I guess that was a waste of my time. Not looking at all the extra stuff that you may have learned along the way. Okay. And we're going to get to more of how you can switch this to a rich mindset. Okay. But that instant gratification, that always wanting something in return for your time, for when you want it, not only something in return, but because we're going to get to that one in a second, but wanting something in return right now. Like, you want something, you want instant gratification. You want to use a credit card to buy something because you couldn't afford it. Like, you want you want to do something right this second, and you want something in return for it. Okay. So that's number 2. The third one is my favorite, minus the last one. Actually, all these are my favorite, honestly. I just love these things. I love talking about mindsets, because mindsets are such a huge part of where you're going to end up. I can look at your mindset and I can tell you where you're going to be. I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. I can look at your mindset. I can tell you where you're going to be. Because all of your finances is driven by your mindset. If I could go in and rewire every single person's brain to just think about things from a rich mindset, I'm telling you, like, this whole world would change, because people would just operate, like, they would just do it. And so when I get on my soapbox, I'm gonna try. I'm really hoping I'm not gonna get on my soapbox. I may just end up on it. Who knows? But anyways, my favorite number one thing, and when I was a general manager at Best Buy, they taught this a lot. They taught this acronym a lot. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but it's the little acronym term, or forgot what it is. Like where, like, we use like a letter to represent a word as an acronym, maybe something like that. Anyways, WIFM, WIIFM, WIFM. What's in it for me? So when what they taught us at Best Buy, and anyone that's ever worked at Best Buy that's listening to this, you've probably been taught this at some point, but they teach you that when you're talking to customers, all they care about is what's in it for them. So you're telling them all these amazing things, but what's in it for them? I want to tell you that what's in it for me is a very poor mindset characteristic, right? Because everything that presents itself, you're asking yourself, well, what's in this for me? Right? You do anything, like you do anything, and you're like, well, what's in it for me? Like why would I do that? Why would I scratch your back if you're not gonna scratch mine? What's in it for me? All right. So this whole WIFM thing, like, so, and that's what I would challenge you on. First and foremost, I challenge you, if you have to ask yourself, what's in it for me, every time someone does something for you, or every time someone does something, I challenge you to never ask yourself what's in it for you. Hopefully you are not putting yourself in a situation where you're doing stuff that is not beneficial for you, regardless, because you're going to get to them at the end. But like, building relationships are phenomenal when it comes to getting to where you want to be in your career, getting where you want to be financially, getting to where you want to be in just in life, right? So WIFM is a play in what's in it for me. Understand, if you're asking yourself that, or if you're feeling like you need to know what's in it for you, you're operating in a poor mindset. All right. Last one. Poor mindset people are very much consumed by the world, right? They complain about the world. More importantly, they feel that the world owes them something. Like this world, like, is owed something, and they're waiting for that part of the world to hand it to them and say, hey, this is yours, run with it. I'm glad I could hand this to you. But that's a poor mindset. Okay. So what I want to tell you, that if, and this is, I'm not being funny, I'm being dead serious. If there's anybody that owes you anything, and you want to say, well, the world or the government or whoever owes you something, what I want to tell you is, the only person that owes you anything is the person that brought you into this world. Okay. So look at mom, look at dad, and say, if they can't give it to you, you're not owed it. I promise you. Okay. So if you wanted to be born a millionaire and mom and dad didn't make you a millionaire, well, ask mom and dad why they didn't make you a millionaire. But don't look to everybody else. Don't look to the world. Don't look to the government. Don't look to your neighbor and your friends and coworkers. You're not owed anything, right? We're going to get to that in the rich mindset. It's a total mindset shift. I mean, a total mindset shift. The second that you stop thinking that people owe you something is the second that your life will just, I'm talking about the light bulb just comes on. You're like, wow, if I took control of this stuff, my life would be what I want it to be. Okay. And then I'm going to close out this poor mindset. I'm going to shift into the rich mindset, but I want to ask you something, because this is something that, if you follow me on Twitter for the Financial Mirror, I posted this picture, right? I posted this picture, and it was a picture of Warren Buffett, and it talked about how, it talked a lot about like millionaires, right? Like billionaires. I'm talking about billionaires, but specifically I want to talk about just millionaires, because there's tons of millionaires out there, right? Tons of millionaires. So I have to ask you, like, when you look at pictures of people that are millionaires, like when you look at them, you see them on TV, you see them online, you see them you see somebody driving a fancy car, and you assume they have money, right? There's as I told you before, there's tons of rich people that operate in poor mindsets, so they could easily be completely broke and drive these nice cars or whatever. But anyways, let's assume you look at someone like Jeff Bezos, right? Let's look at Jeff Bezos. He's a billionaire. Mark Zuckerberg, let's look at him. He's a billionaire, right? He's buying anything he wants. He's got tons of money. Him and his wife are doing well. How does that make you feel? And that's the question that I like to ask people when I try to determine what their mindset is sort of about. This isn't a clear indicator, but it is an indicator that I like to ask. How does that make you feel? Does it make you envious? Like, kind of like, oh, how did that person get, I wish, that person shouldn't have millions of dollars. We should be handing out, billions of dollars to everybody else. Like, that person shouldn't be a billionaire. Like, how does it make you feel? So if you feel like envious of what they have, you're kind of in a poor mindset, right? And like I said, this isn't a catch-all. It's just an idea, just to ask yourself, what's the motive behind your envy? Or does that kind of thing, when you look at the Mark Zuckerbergs and the Jeff Bezoses, does that motivate you? Does that be like, wow, that normal guy, right? Jeff Bezos, you can go look at pictures of Jeff Bezos from like 20 years ago, and you can see this dude, like, stupid normal. I mean, extra normal dude, right? Like sitting on a podcast on Financial Mirror like me right now. Like, super normal dude, just decided to start up this thing in his basement that ended up becoming Amazon, right? This behemoth of Amazon started in his garage. I think it was his garage, not his basement. But how does that make you feel? Like, if that motivates you, you're currently most likely operating in a rich mindset. If you're envious of this guy that started as this everyday dude that decided to put in a little extra time and start up this business in his garage, and he's now a billionaire for it, if you're envious of that, I challenge you to switch your mindset, switch your thoughts, and get on board with this rich mindset, because that simple piece will change your life, guaranteed. All right. So rich mindset. So this goes back same as the poor mindset, and hopefully, since I spent so much time on the poor mindset, I'm gonna run through these because these kind of just the counter of that, right? But it's the same as the poor mindset in the sense that there's tons of poor people with a rich mindset. And I say that again because I really want that one to hammer home, because I think the people that are listening to this, the people that I reach out to, and the people that I actually reach with my streams every week are the people that are potentially on the verge of breaking through that wealth ceiling, or they are at their lowest point and they are living paycheck to paycheck, not knowing where to go. In either one, you have the ability to operate in a rich mindset, because, and I know that because if you look at someone out there today that is currently aggressively paying off their debt, but they're living in their means to do that, they're operating in a rich mindset. They're living within their means. They're budgeting. They're doing everything they can. And they're making the choices that I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick up an extra side job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay off this debt. I'm going to continue. I'm going to build wealth. Like, they're operating in a rich mindset, regardless of what their finances look like. Okay. So just because they haven't began to build wealth yet being the key word, because they're going to do it, that doesn't mean that they aren't working in the mindset that they're going to build wealth. They will. And you can see it. You can see it everywhere. That it's a mindset shift, because it almost like is instilled in you, right? Like, you almost don't lose it after you get it. You can see billionaires, millionaires that are still driving the same car, living in the same house, doing the same things. And they didn't get there by being in a poor mindset. They got there. They switched into that rich mindset and they did it. The hard part about it is that if you take somebody out of a poor mindset, you put them in a rich mindset, they get out of debt, they start to build wealth. The second they can start to afford this dream life, right, they end up shifting themselves back into a poor mindset. So you have to get into that mindset, start that journey early, get into the weeds of building the rich mindset, shifting out of the poor, building the rich mindset, and staying in the rich mindset. All right. So first off, going over the characteristics, like I said, these don't take as long because they're just opposite. So first off, creating a surplus is understood that surplus is now going to accelerate how fast you're going to be able to grow and build wealth, right? So by creating a surplus of education, you're going to be able to accelerate your ability to grow, not only professionally but but personally as well. Accelerate your gains. So the more surplus you build in your 401k, the more surplus you build in your IRA, the more surplus you build in your brokerage account, in your whatever, the faster, the more accelerated those gains are going to be. And then you're accelerating how much you'll be able to pass down to your future generations, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this rich mindset that people are seeking, they seek to spend time and resources on things that pay off way after that money was invested, right? So they start like Jeff Bezos invested time and money into starting Amazon, and now he's paying for all the work that you didn't see, right? There was tons of Jeff Bezos living paycheck to paycheck, eating peanut butter and crackers. Like, there was tons of that. I'm telling you, there was tons of that. But through hard work and persistence, he's built the behemoth of Amazon, right? So and that'll pay off. That'll pay off for forever. Way after he invested all that time and effort. So that's a rich mindset. You're investing all this stuff early. You're investing it right now so that 10 years from now, it'll all pay off. Every bit of it will pay off. All this doing without will pay off. All this going without, all this not having enough will pay off, right? So you have to understand that it's a switch. Total mindset switch. All right. So another is this is a huge one. So these last two, the same as the what's in it for me, and the same as the world sort of owing you something is in the poor mindset. Total opposite. But what I want you to see is that these are critical to the rich mindset. You have to be able to invest time and resources without that immediate reward, right? So that could be that you have to stick back at work for an extra 3 hours to complete a project, and you're not going to be paid for it. And you're like, poor mindset's like, oh my goodness, 3 hours of my time and I'm not going to be paid for it. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do with myself? Well, that's a poor mindset, right? You may have to put in tons of hours and not be paid for it. I'm just going to use Jeff Bezos again, because I've just been using him this whole thing, because this man created a great company that's obviously showing everyone pays for it. As much as you hate Amazon, you still have an Amazon account. You still buy off Amazon. Not everybody, but a lot of people, right? Even though they hate Amazon, but I think people just hate them. Anyway, I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I said I'm not. So Jeff Bezos had to put in tons of time in his garage that he was not paid for. Now he's making everything, right? He's making all the money. So there's times that you may have to volunteer at your company, or volunteer at any company for that matter, and that's possibly going to give you skills necessary to start the business you always wanted. I'm going to use Robert Kiyosaki as this example, but Robert did a he knew that he was a bad salesman, right? He was like, man, like I'm not a good salesman. And so he ended up after, and I may get some of his story messed up, and I'm sorry, Mr. Kiyosaki, if you ever listen to this, I'm truly sorry, but I think I got it right. But he got out of the Marine Corps, and he ended up going to, I think it was in the Marine Corps, pretty sure he was in the Marine Corps. But anyways, he ended up going, and he was wanted to increase his ability to sell. He ended up getting a job with Xerox, and he sold, one of the top salesmen in his district or whatever. And but he didn't just continue to work with Amazon. He went off to do other things, but the thing was that he really needed to become a better salesman, and Xerox provided him that opportunity. Regardless if he enjoyed selling copiers or whatever or not, he knew he needed to gain a skill, and Xerox could provide him that skill, right? So and he went on to talk to this amazing author that was just a great writer, right? And she pretty much was explaining to Robert that he needed to, or she needed to, she didn't understand why her book wasn't selling. She was a great writer, right? She was a great writer. And he looked at it and he said, you need to learn, you need to get to be a good salesman. And she says, well, I don't, being a salesman, I want to be a writer. I'm not a salesman. And he pointed at his book, and his book says what? On the little gold thing, it says best-selling author. And he pointed that out to her. And so he was like, you've got to be a good salesman to sell your product, right? So all that's to say that you're going to have to gain skills. You're going to have to do things. You're going to have to go and be a part of things that you may not be paid for, and may not have any immediate reward. But in the end, with that rich mindset of always going out and trying to do better and trying to build yourself and try to build, your ability to grow personally, it'll all pay off in the end. I'm telling you, it's just getting into the mindset and doing it that'll all pay off. All right. And then the last one for rich mindset is that the world's not fair. It doesn't owe you anything. Success is earned and very well should be appreciated. And the people in your left and right, when they're successful, you should give them pats on the back. You should encourage them. You should be happy for them, not be envious of them, right? A rich mindset looks, and if there's something they can teach you, that relationship that you build with them is very important. But I could spend time talking about this, but if you're, I'm just going to hit it real quick, I think. But if you're spending every waking hour of your life complaining about your current situation, complaining about the things everyone around you has, complaining about people make over $400,000 and they should be taxed more, even though like that's totally a rational argument in my eyes, and I'm sorry if that's how you think, but if you gave blood, sweat, and tears for a company, and now you gave up so much of your life to get to where you're at today, and now you earn over $400,000, I don't think you should be penalized for that. I'm sorry, I don't understand it. I truly don't. Or if you're complaining about why $50,000 of student loans isn't being forgiven, once again, no one forces anyone to go to college. To be all honest, I'm just being dead honest with you. College isn't really required to be successful in life, just so you know. Wake up call. And college can be free and going to without loans, and that's completely possible. But going to college is a choice, and $50,000 just to be forgiven because of a choice that was made by the individual is not rational. Okay, but seriously, okay, I'm gonna stop. No more soapbox. Seriously. Once you realize that the world owes you nothing, like nobody owes you anything, right? Once you get that into your head, the government owes you nothing, people owe you nothing, nothing is owed by anyone, your situation will change. I promise you. When you take ownership of your current situation, your situation will change. I'm telling you. Like there's, and I just thought of this. So if rich mindset people. So this is another one for rich mindset. I'm going to move on. I'm going to conclude this thing. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm telling you, this is one of my most passionate things to talk about because I understand the crucial aspect of how you think affects what your outcome in life is. Like I just know it. I see it everywhere I go. I read about it. I really enjoy understanding how people think. I really want to understand how people see the way things go. And like I said, this is my final one. But rich mindset people, they realize that they don't know everything, right? But because they don't know everything, they love to learn. They love to learn from everyone, not certain people, but everyone. Every opportunity rich mindset people get, they want to learn. They want to know more about your work. They want to know more about what you do. They want to know more about how did you get to where you're at. They want to know what education level or what education path you took. They want to know what jobs you've had. Like they just want to know, and then they want to ask questions specifically about, how did you get good at that? What did you do? Like they want to learn. They really want to learn. And poor mindset people, they tend to oppose how others think. When all of a sudden someone has this perspective, they're like, before they even heard it, they're just like, oh no, I'll oppose that. Like they already know it. Like, but there's somebody out there that always knows more than you. I promise you, there's always someone out there that knows more than you, and you've got to accept that. And you have to really encourage your learning process by gaining everything you can from the people around you, right? So that's another one. Just came to my head randomly, but I got in the chat. So Zig Ziglar believed he said, we can't help the hand we are dealt, but we can determine how we play it. Philosophy was the way to the top. Success is to bring others with you. I couldn't agree more. Like that's the kind of stuff that is necessary. That's the kind of stuff that has to happen. Like you're not going to always be dealt the perfect hand, but you can start to build, and this is just me building on that, but you can start to build the hand that you deal your next generation, right? Like you're in charge of that. You're in charge of dealing that hand to the next person. So, and I know we've gone through a lot. We've talked about a lot of the mindsets, the rich and the poor, and I truly hope that through all this, you were able to get a chance to sort of figure out or develop or learn or sort of what mindset you're in, right? Which one of these mindsets you currently fall into. And I want you to know that you should really and truthfully try to attain that rich mindset because it's not fixed or growth. It's not that. It's not inherited. It's not like it's most definitely developed and learned. A rich mindset is developed and learned. The mindset that you currently have comes from the things that you've seen previously in your life, but that doesn't mean that you have to stay in that mindset. Okay, you can switch that. You can 100% switch that. So what can you do to shift it? I'm going to give you a couple things to walk away with. So first off, you've got to start investing. You have to know about investing. If you don't know anything about investing, in the bottom description down below, I've got 2 videos I've done on investing, from mutual funds to overview investing. And this is a great way to shift your mindset from being like a poor mindset to a rich mindset, because you're putting money into something that you're not getting an immediate return on, but it's growing, and you're going to see it grow, and you're going to see it that it's making money even long after you initially put it in there. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to know. Invest. 401k, IRA, brokerage account, invest. You've got to invest. The next thing, you've got to understand risk and reward. You've got to understand that sometimes you have to take chances. You've got to invest in something. Time and money is going to have to be invested in some way, and you may not see any return on it for a while. Like it may take a couple years to see a return on it. Don't ask yourself what's in it for me. Don't spend the money and say, well, what's in it for me? If you're confident in what you just took a conscious risk on, right? Like you took a risk on it and you were like, wow, I'm willing to take this risk. You've got to just go with it, right? And if you start to feel a little uncomfortable about it, that's okay. That's awesome, actually, because a little of being uncomfortable means that you're growing. That means anytime you're out of your comfort zone, you're growing. So you've got to continue to take those calculated risks, and you'll watch your life change. All right. So that's the second thing, is understand that risk and reward. Third thing, you've got to create meaningful relationships in your life. Right. You've got to really lean on those smarter people in the room. You've really got to lean on them. You've got to find and you've got to build those relationships with those people, and about where you want to be. So the people that show the traits of where you want to be or have accomplished the things that you want to accomplish, you've got to lean on those and build relationships with them. And it's okay to be the dumbest person in the room. Like, that means that you're just around a bunch of smart people. That's actually encouraged. I'm telling you, that's encouraged. Be the dumbest person in the room. I know it sounds crazy, but be the dumbest person in the room. And then finally, about the relationship thing, is don't expect these people. You build these relationships with these people, right? And like, let's say me and Robert Kiyosaki became best friends, and I shouldn't expect anything other than maybe some knowledge from Robert Kiyosaki. I should never expect Robert Kiyosaki to promote my channel. I should never expect Robert Kiyosaki to talk about me in his podcast. I don't expect these things. I don't ever expect another handout from the relationship I built, right? Don't turn those into those type of relationships. Be understanding of the relationship you're building with these really smart people are for your benefit, right? You get to talk to these people. You get to discuss things with smarter people. There's your reward. If you want a reward, there's your reward. There you go. And then lastly, I want you to realize that you're never done. This whole journey, you're never done. Like, there is no finish line in this wealth building thing, right? This rich mindset that you develop is going to carry you through the rest of your life. All right. This mindset is going to be, if you so choose, if you can make it, it's going to be instilled into all of your future generation. So it's when people are going to look to retirement as a chance for them to take their foot off the gas, but that is totally not the case. All right, simply not the case. So what are you going to do when you retire? You're probably going to pick up some hobbies. You're probably going to do things as a hobby. But when you start to do things as a hobby with that rich mindset, what you'll probably do is end up turning your hobby into a new way to build wealth. Just being honest. All right. So being honest with that, retirement does not mean you're done. It just gives you a new chance to do something else. And then lastly, I really want to end with this, but this is your life. This whole mindset thing. This is your life. You're operating in your life, and what you have, your life, the current life that you're living is the life that you have made. So every decision you made throughout your life has gotten you to where you're at today. So think about it. Where you're at is where you got yourself, right? So what I can tell you and what I can leave you with, change your mindset, get a rich mindset, budget your money, pay off your debt, invest the rest, take chances to build wealth, grow professionally, personally, continue to educate yourself, continue to read, continue to grow, and you will be a great example for your family, for your coworkers, and for your friends around you. I promise you. So be that change in mindset, be that change, and really be an example for those around you. Okay. So with that, I appreciate everyone for joining. I really do. And as always, if you're listening to this on the podcast, please leave 5-star review or 5-star rating with a review if you're really enjoying the podcast. It really goes a long ways in helping to continue to reach out and continue to grow as the Financial Mirror continues to build on itself. So with that, once again, appreciate everyone for enjoying, for stopping by, enjoying the stream. I know the time's a little different for everyone after the daylight savings switch, but anyways, once again, thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next week. Peace.